Now let's get this started with right now, people. Chapter 1, Forces and Motions. Physics, of course. Now, what are forces and motions? One of the greatest mysteries of the world is that. Sometimes people even rarely think about it. Like, this. Just assume it's a ball. Like, what makes this thing move? Me destroying it? Well, what makes my hand make it move up? That's what forces and motions are basically about. If something speeds up or changes direction, it's because of a force, like it's a little nudge or something like that. So, for today's episode, I would like to tell you about understanding forces and learning rules, so that will help you create, many incredible machines, like Rube Goldberg machines, or whatever. Yeah, so let's just start off with mechanics. So, are you moving right now? If you're in a car, maybe. It feels like let's just say you're sitting in a moving train. And then it feels still, mostly, other than that, like, little apparent jostle. But actually, you're moving because it doesn't feel like you're moving. Because actually, the train itself is moving and you're moving at the same speed as the train. So, you don't feel you're moving. But technically, let's say you bounce a ball when you're in the train. Then the ball actually, when it bounces, it just stays in that same position in the air. But the train moves, so it feels like to you it moves. But to the other person who's looking outside of the train, it feels like it didn't move. Like, to you, it might look like this. It might look like this because to you, everything seems to stay still. Boing. But to a person looking outside of it, it looks like this. Boing, boing, boing. This thing is the only thing that moves up and down, and the train itself seems to move left to right. And then when it boings and it hits the ground, it moves a bit here a little bit, and then it boings up, and then it starts moving back there. Now pushing things around, you might have known this. It's easier to push not full trolley, and it's harder to push a full trolley, and it's way easier to go on skateboarding on a empty trolley, and of course it's harder to stop already moving full trolley because of something called friction. This thing's called acceleration, speeding up is called acceleration, and momentum is basically the speed you're going at. Now, of course, the only reason why you're standing up is because of the opposite forces. The weight of your body is pushing on the gravity of the earth, or in this case, our floor, and the floor is pushing back at the same speed. So if my force pushing down was greater than the force that the floorboard can push up, then the floor will crack open, and I will probably die of fall damage. Yikes. Of course, Newton was the one who actually started talking about gravity and all that stuff, but now we're not at gravity, let's just talk about stuff. Gravity is a weird thing. It's basically the force of attraction between two things. Now, I'm not talking magnetism, also that is also the force of attraction between two things, also primarily metals like iron, nickel, and cobalt. This one is basically what lets you stand up, and it's also what pulls you to the ground, and also the reason why you're not floating into space and dying of blood disease, of blood pouring out of your eyes. Yikes. It exists in all objects. In fact, this thing and this thing has a little gravity, but they don't really attract each other because it's quite weak. And that's why on the moon, because the moon has weak gravity, you can jump up. And also, the only reason why you're still standing on the moon is because it has strong enough gravity to let you stand up, but it's not that strong enough to let you to be that strong. So you can jump up as far as you like, but it will always still let you go down. And this is how movement and energy works. You use energy to turn it into movement, and this is where E equals MC squared comes in, but that doesn't come until a later episode. And of course, you kind of need to use chemical energy to go and make some kind of energy for you. That's what food is for. And another thing we have to talk about is entropy, chaos, and order. Although it is impossible to turn cracked eggs back into regular eggs, it is possible to turn boiled eggs back into regular eggs. Also, not in the form you might think of. No. Yeah, chaos is basically entropy, and it tries to make everything boring. It's the same that makes life. That tries to kill life, and the universe likes to be entropatic. It could be very entropic. if you will. So that nothing will living and it's quite boring. And order is basically the opposite of it. And that's how we're living here, by taking away entropy. Until we die, everything here will fight entropy. Friction, speed, and then our last part is about friction and speed and energy. Friction is basically what makes you stop. Like if I roll a ball and eventually slows down, it's because of like the constant rubbing. Like the friction I'm using to rub my hands together, they actually make it really, really hot. And the friction that Baymax uses to turn his hands into literal clear, like literal electrical charge stuff. Also, it's impossible. He probably just used it just as a little gesture, like rub. He probably rubbed it like his fingers a lot so that it would turn literally into a little electrical machine, just so that he can zap Hero. But don't do that. And friction is basically what lets things stop. Now, speed and energy. Speed, you basically know, is how fast you're going, and energy, we've already talked about. Right now, the only biggest reason why we have a terrible space travel is because we also need big amounts of fuel to go up in space, and we also need to bring that fuel into space. However, in future, you might find other things, other ways that we can go up. Right now, the biggest thing, the heaviest thing on a spaceship is fuel. But in the future, maybe the heaviest thing in space is the artificial gravity thing. Like maglev spaceships, that might actually work. Or an airship, or dirigible. So that's pretty much it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. In the next episode, let's talk about waves! See ya. Bye!